Hello everyone, and now welcome to a game. This game is Dise versus Moon here on Shallow Grave. On the bottom right hand side of the map, we have Dise spawning as the, blue Night Elf. Meanwhile, on the top left hand side of the map, we have Moon spawning as the yellow Night Elf. Yellow versus blue, Night Elf versus Night Elf here on Shallow Grave, and this promises to be a great game. Altar of Elders being placed down. Ancient of War looks like it will be your standard hero. What is it going to be? It is going to be a Priestess of the Moon going up against a Keeper of the Grove. No Tavern heroes as primary heroes here as we jump into this Night Elf mirror match. Now, what I like about the Night Elf mirror match is this Priestess of the Moon strategy. Night Elf versus Night Elf seems to be one of the matchups where, it's just drastically different compared to some of the others. One thing we are noticing here is that the Archer did not actually get that Lightning Shield. So Dise is actually going to be able to take a little bit of a damage per second advantage and clear out this creep camp rather quickly. There's an entangle onto a wisp right there. There's going to be a quick detonation. Going to take down that Ogre Warrior and finally take down that Renegade Wizard as well. The Keeper of the Grove actually opting for Entangle first over those Treants. Excuse me. Excuse me again. Coming back around, Priestess of the Moon does not have any skill trained as of yet. No Searing Arrows, no True Shot Aura. That should be rectified momentarily as the Keeper of the Grove tries to go after this 3-3-2 creep camp. Priestess of the Moon, however, is ready to place down a bit of pressure here. As the Priestess of the Moon, is it taking some damage? Yes, it finally is, as it tries to double back around. All right, a little bit of damage there. Here we are finally going into Searing Arrows, exchanging a little bit of blows, and the Priestess of the Moon down to 430 hit points, but will be able to escape away. Now, this Rogue Wizard does have Frost Armor, and the Priestess of the Moon is still running around in a circle, causing a bit of traffic and looking for a good opportunity to, take down one of these units and perhaps deny level 2. That's all both of these players are really trying to do, deny level 2 to their opponent, and by denying level 2, well, being able to get that early hero level advantage. All right, there goes one. There's level 2 now on that Keeper of the Grove. Treants have been summoned up. Priestess of the Moon sitting at level 1 right there, just off in the shadows, as we see a Mantle of Intelligence picked up by the Keeper of the Grove. That extra +3 damage gonna offset compared to the Searing Arrows and Claws of Attack +4 of the Priestess. Now, 30 supply compared to 25. Priestess of the Moon still, engaging with a couple of Huntresses and that Priestess there. Really just trying to feel each other out a bit more. We're looking at Moon. He's still sitting on a single Ancient of War. I don't see a second one anywhere, and the Hunter's Hall hasn't really done any of the upgrading yet. We do see an Entangle go down on the Priestess. Priestess was temporarily revealed. While that Entangle is there, is the Priestess going to purposely try to get that last shot? Did try to, never got that final arrow, as the Priestess may end up being forced to use the Scroll of Town Portal. No, the Entangle doesn't actually last long enough. A final round of arrows there as the Priestess of the Moon forced to teleport back home. All right, 175 gold spent, or 350 gold spent right there. We'll see if another, Scroll of Town Portal is going to be purchased. Priestess of the Moon forced to try and go, try to continue to creep as it feels a little bit off. All right. So both sides just getting a good feel for each other. Archers, mass archers, we are teching the tier 2. Dise could gain access to a strong second hero. We do see a large number of archers out here on the battlefield as well. Gonna go ahead and try and shadow meld perhaps, or finish off that Kobold Geomancer. Army sizes are about the same, but the Priestesses, or the Huntress, obviously getting that bonus damage from that True Shot Aura, and because of their range and normal armor, normal damage type, should be able to focus down those archers until the archers actually get some upgrades. Until the archers actually have, that that additional 200 range with these improved bows, the archers are not really going to be able to outpace that those huntresses, because the huntresses have such fast movement speeds and have a little bit of range themselves. Keeper of the Grove trying to put in pressure, is going to be able to finish off that last wisp there. Yes, no, does not get the last hit off. Moon with a beautiful deny by transforming into a Moonwell just in time, as the treants are now out back as well. Priestess of the Moon is dishing quite a bit of damage. Keeper of the Grove sitting at level 2, just on the cusp of level 3, but will most likely be forced to retreat back home. Meanwhile, Goblin Tinker goes for Pocket Factory here, gonna try to crank out some of these Clockwork Goblins, but Dise not realizing that, well, some of the archers are actually blocking the path, unable to join in on the fight. 我可以讲一点国语，我的广东话好很多。Anyways, coming back around, and Dise gonna go ahead and finish things off here, leaving behind a Tome of Intelligence. Keeper of the Grove back on this side, hasn't gotten any kills, but able to put in a bit of pressure. Alright. Trying to get back into my normal routine now. Past couple of days and weeks have been a little bit tough for it. Can I send you a link? You can send me a link. I may not necessarily click it. I'm trying our clip. Anyways, let's go ahead and break things. Focus back onto this game here. Archers, Dryads putting in the pressure. All of these Clockwork Goblins actually getting ensnared down by the Forest Troll Trappers and by these Forest Troll Trappers here. We do see one Goblin Zeppelin overhead. Is it going to actually pull over the Rock Golem? It is not. And this Keeper of the Grove has just really been playing this harassment game for quite some time. The Priestess of the Moon has now already gotten more than halfway to level 4. Meanwhile, the Keeper of the Grove has been stagnant on his hero level, staying just shy of level 3. Coming back through, are we going to perhaps get some experience here to get a double level up? That is most likely what is needed. Trying to engage a fight with 2 level 2 heroes compared to 2 level 3 heroes is a drastic difference overall. Coming back off to the north here, Panda, Drunken Haze across all of these units. Priestess of the Moon absorbing quite a bit of damage, but because of that Drunken Haze, a lot of that damage is being mitigated. Brewmaster using the Drunken Haze as an opportunity to allow that Priestess of the Moon to tank a bit more, since many of those attacks were missing. Coming back around, Goblin Tinker, is it going to try and place down a Pocket Factory? Not quite sure why it hasn't done so yet. The Pocket Factory actually a bit far away, as we see an army of Dryads and Archers try to pelt down this Tree of Life, which generally does not work out well. Alright, it looked like it was a Scroll of Town Portal, but a complete head fake instead. It was a Staff of Teleportation, and that bought a little bit of time for Moon to get into position here. There's a quick detonation down. Dryads continuing to poke. We're looking at the Clockwork Goblins slowly making their way over, and I don't know why Dise didn't try and get to level 3 first. Level 3 first would have been a stronger Pocket Factory. Ancient of War finally taken down, giving that level 3. A second Pocket Factory might be placed down here, as the Archers and Dryads are now looking to engage. Dryads have a little bit less range than those Archers, who now have 700, as a Scroll of Protection is being used. Drunken Haze, Breath of Fire could go down across all of these Archers here, who have to, well, protect themselves just a bit. Dryads purposely getting elevated into the Goblin Zeppelin, and now focusing down all of these units here. Alright, Scroll of Protection finally being used by the Keeper of the Grove as well. Both sides fighting their way through. It looks as though a couple of, well, Huntresses could end up getting taken down. No, down to 1 hit point, as the units are still trying to retreat back. There goes an entangle onto the Priestess of the Moon. Priestess of the Moon could be in trouble. Does have a potion of invulnerability, and going to be using that momentarily, as we see a double up level 4, level 3. Level 2 Breath of Fire being placed on across all of those Archers, who have a little bit more, well, magic spell damage protection, as the Ancient Protectors being built by Dise off to the side, able to root themselves in position and shut down Moon's expansion. These Ancient Protectors with fortified, armored, and high piercing damage, extremely effective against all of these Huntresses here, as we should be looking at a couple of Glaive Throwers being added in too. Now, We are still looking at mass tier 1 units coming in from Moon, even though he does have tier 2, obviously, with that Brewmaster. All right, Forest Troll Shadow Priest going to be joining in as well. There is 1-0 upgrades, and well, it looks as though the tech to tier 2 was solely for that Brewmaster, who hasn't really paid off as of yet. Tree of Life gonna get taken down here, and there it goes. No wisps to hide as the Priestess of the Moon and the Panda figure out their next step. Goblin Tinker quickly runs on through here. Keeper of the Grove gonna stay at level 3. Same with the Goblin Tinker as this Ogre Mauler creep camp gets cleared up. 46 supply compared to 45. It looks like Moon's not quite sure what his strategy and his next move is going to be. Meanwhile, Dise is just basking in the glory of taking down one of Moon's expos and having that be the only expo Moon had. We've seen so many times Moon setting up secret Death Star bases all across the map. You think you take down one only to realize that another base was set up somewhere else, and you did not realize it. Quick shadow meld for the archer right there. A little bit of slow poison will tick away as that archer nearly gets taken down, as the ancient protectors are now walking over and rooting themselves again. All right, I believe well, do they have faster movement speed? Well, very slow. Let's take a look at this. Yes, they do have Nature's Blessing, and we could turn this into a base trade scenario. Treants are now joining in on the battle. Clockwork Goblins here. Meanwhile, a couple of archers trying to hold the door. One Druid of the Claw getting caught in a narrow passageway, getting lost in transit, as we see a 38 supply army going up against 40. Ancient of War going to try to root himself here, but he's not going to be able to hold off this entire Night Elf army easily, as we're looking at the Ancient Protectors continuing to move their way forward. We do have a couple of wisps by Dise over here at the 9 o'clock location, perhaps going to try to set up an expo. Meanwhile, we have some wisp or two wisps off over here, one by Dise, one by Moon, just hanging out together, being able to spot each other. All right, damage across each side. We're going to have a Scroll of Town Portal to try and retreat back the Moonwell. Some of them were already taken down, so some of that natural defense is going to be lost. Goblin Tinker, a little bit of healing. There's a quick roar. There goes a quick detonation, as we're looking at the Pocket Factory trying to crank out some units as well. 49 supply compared to 33. Dise is in a bit of trouble as he's lost so many Moonwells. That home field advantage is completely gone, as the Staff of Teleportation allows the Druid of the Claw, or excuse me, the Panda to back away. Druid of the Claw still fighting, but only in Druid form. Doesn't have mastery training done quite yet, as we're not yet at Tree of Eternity. This one Druid of the Claw is going to be forced to try and retreat back. Meanwhile, Keeper of the Grove continuing to fight back against all of these units, as the Priestess of the Moon gets to level 5, now with level 3 True Shot Aura. All of these archers getting +6 damage. That is a high damage increase indeed for all of these units, essentially making three units turn into 4 with such a strong boost. Meanwhile, we're going to look at Orb of Venom. Priestess of the Moon going to be in trouble, down to 64. Is going to get taken down. Staff of Preservation for the Keeper of the Grove. Keeper of the Grove gets taken down gets elevated into the Goblin Zeppelin. Meanwhile, the Goblin Tinker is still trying to fight back every which way. We do still see some Moonwells, but not much healing going on either. Pocket Factory still cranking out some more units here, as the Breath of Fire perhaps trying to catch this Keeper of the Grove a little bit out of position. More Clockwork Goblins coming across over here. Priestess of the Moon up to 240 hit points is going to be able to finish things off, as the Goblin Tinker gets blown over by a Breath of Fire. Rejuvenation now onto that Keeper of the Grove. Perhaps an archer will get taken down. One more shot right there. There it goes. It gets taken down, as the Keeper of the Grove trying to finish off some of those units as well. Finishing off one up. There's that Forest Troll Shadow Priest getting taken down. Treants, the last bit of trees coming alive to perhaps try and help, as the Keeper of the Grove chases after these units. All right, little bit of damage over time. That was a pretty large attack there. You can see that Forest Troll Shadow Priest already down to 98 hit points, as we see another Entangle go down as well. Forest Troll Shadow Priest down to 2 hit points. He's going to stay there. Orb of Venom going up against the Priestess of the Moon, as the Priestess of the Moon needs to use a Scroll of Healing. Forest Troll Shadow Priest somehow still alive at 2 or 4 hit points again, as units are picking back and forth. Keeper of the Grove holding steady at 340 hit points. Going to head back, get a new Moonwell completely, and perhaps get some rejuvenation onto that Keeper of the Grove to try and engage. Additional Moonwell juice could help tremendously as the Druids of the Claw are out here on the battlefield. Suddenly, Moon hires a whole bunch of Ogre Maulers and a bunch of other units at the tavern to join in on the battle, as we see the Keeper of the Grove is currently, well, in trouble. He is dazed, his attack speed is relatively low, and he is caught in this corner in a tough spot. Meanwhile, we are looking at the Tree of Ages, well, suffering a lot of pressure from all of these units as they're trying to make their way over. We see a bunch of Moonwells being built off to the north by Moon to try and hold on, and that sudden influx of 3 Moonwells off to the north. I was wondering where the supply, where he could actually hire up any of these units, as he had lost so many of his Moonwells early on. Those instead of a secret Moon base, Moon had secret Moon wells, and that allowed him to get out of reverse supply or being supply blocked, being able to train up a handful of units from that mercenary camp. With that said, though, well, what else can be trained up here? Dise is at 17/30 supply. The army of Dise is rather large. Priestess of the Moon now getting up to level 6 as the Druid of the Claw and Keeper of the Grove is looking to engage and try and take down this Moonwell here. Ancient Protectors are off over here. Panda comes back across. We're looking at some more, well, units getting hired up. There's a slow by the Mud Golem. Mud Golem throwing mud at that Brewmaster, and it is sticking, making him move much slower. There's a little bit of engagement going back and forth. Damage is racking up. There's a Breath of Fire. That Mud Golem is magic immune as the Keeper of the Grove, well, is missing his target just a little bit. Are we going to get another slow? Yes, we are. Are we going to get a dead Panda? Yes, we are. And it gets taken down, but by the Priestess of the Moon, denying that little bit of experience. All right, moving back off to the north, Druid of the Claw trying to clear up some of these Moonwells off to the north. Is there enough for Moon to build up additional bases? It looks like that is going to be the case, as the Hunter's Hall is going to start getting pressured down by the Ancient Protector. Now, with that said, I wonder, is it actually better for it? I think it's actually better if the Ancient Protectors are just there attacking normally with their melee attack, as that deals more damage per attack than the piercing damage here. It's an average attack speed versus the melee attack speed. Perhaps Dise just so used to rooting, not realizing that he could have actually just kept the Ancient Protectors nearby, and they would have beat up on that Hunter's Hall with not having to worry about anything else. All right, here's a new Ancient of War being placed down here. There's an Altar of Elders, 17/0 compared to 31/10. Priestess of the Moon. Well, what is going to happen here? I believe we are down to, down to less than 1,000 hit points on both sides in terms of, yeah, let's take a look at that. 26/33 melee damage, yeah. 26/33 melee damage with a fast attack speed that might have actually won out more. Meanwhile, this Ancient of War 37/47, the Ancient Protectors will obviously want to root themselves, as they're going to be going up against a lot of piercing damage, and, well, fortified armor better against that piercing damage here. Keeper of the Grove comes over, engages. There's an entangle onto that Ogre Mauler. There's a quick abolish magic. Both sides still fighting through. That Ogre Mauler needs to think twice about trying to give chase, as it's going to be taking a bit of damage over time. Keeper of the Grove, plus 16 damage. Priestess of the Moon, plus 22. But remember, a lot of that, or 12 of that, is coming from that True Shot aura. So we're looking at upwards of 60 damage per attack, compared to upwards of, 51 damage per attack. But we also have the benefit of that little bit of damage over time. Ancient Protector is going to go ahead and root themselves off over here. Druids of the Claw trying to engage, trying to do something, as the Priestess of the Moon going to dive on in and perhaps put pressure onto that Keeper of the Grove. Druid of the Claw perhaps should just hang back and, well, constantly act as a rejuvenation point for that Keeper of the Grove, if you're just going to constantly be trying to gain a little bit of poking damage. Ancient Protector still back across over here. Both sides in a very much standoff, as this Ancient of War hides, and, well, hiding a tree in the forest always works out well, except he is being revealed. All right. Hiding this tree in the forest, so to speak. Meanwhile, Tree's going to go ahead and clear up in the back here, acting as that front line spot. Keeper of the Grove wants to get up to level 5. Going to be able to easily clear out this green creep camp, picking up a Tome of Knowledge. coming back around. Priestess of the Moon gonna test the waters. There's an Ancient Protectors here. They're gonna be lobbing those attacks as the Priestess of the Moon does have Starfall, but will it have a good opportunity to use Starfall? That is the question. Priestess of the Moon hanging back here. Forest Troll, Berserker, Moon with a bunch of Ogre Mauler here trying to engage and trying to pick his fights well. 15 versus 29 supply, a level 4 hero versus level 6. Everything says Moon should be able to win any decisive battle based on hero levels and army size numbers, but Moon has to pick and choose his fights well, and here is a Starfall. All right, rooted are those Ancient Protectors. They're not going to be able to back away easily, and because they are not going to be able to back away easily, they may take too much damage. An Entangle onto the Priestess of the Moon, though, stops that Starfall in its tracks as the Keeper of the Grove going to try and engage here. Meanwhile, one Druid of the Claw going to get taken down. Are we going to see enough damage go down onto that Priestess of the Moon? Priestess of the Moon completely shadow melted at 23 hit points and dropping still. Going to go down to 15 as that poison did eat away at quite a bit. Trying to finish off more of these units again as the units are going back every which way. Going to try and pick up an item. There's a Book of the Dead quickly being used. Perhaps going to try and finish off and get up to level 5 on that Keeper of the Grove. Entangle onto that Forest Troll Berserker. He could get taken down as well. A little bit of time is all that is needed, and that Book of the Dead was absolutely clutch timed perfect. There's an Entangle onto the Priestess. Priestess ends up getting taken down as the Keeper of the Grove now trying to retreat back as we're looking at the Ancient Protectors being able to eat the trees and come alive again. 7 supply compared to 14, but the hero is still alive for Dise. All right, pick up that Tome of Knowledge, up to 72 hit points. Heroes are on the move now. Summoned archers are trying to go after some of those units. It has to be very careful, though. Every bit of hit point on that Keeper of the Grove is absolutely important, as those skeletal archers are testing the waters, attacking, and then retreating back. All right. No Moonwells that I know of. No Moonwell being built off to the north here to try and give that Keeper of the Grove a little bit more protection. I believe Dise has enough to try and stay alive here as we're looking at the Keeper of the Grove perhaps going to try to test the waters and take down a Moon's Ogre Mauler. This Ancient Protector wants to eat a tree as we're looking at a little bit of damage over time here. This thing's good to go bad. Keeper of the Grove down to 95 hit points. Going to try and retreat again as units are going to go ahead and perhaps take down that Ogre Mauler here. Trying to finish things off one at a time, and Dise does it. Dise with the lower level hero, smaller army, able to use the Keeper of the Grove's Entangle effectively to take out that Priestess of the Moon and come away with the victory. Let me know what you guys thought about this game in the comments below.